All right, everybody, welcome to the Scho-Zone. It is your host here, Ryan Schofield, coming at you live from the studio, I guess we're calling it now. This looks a little better than it did last week. One of the benefits of situation right now is I realized I can pretty much just overhaul my entire apartment and turn it into a podcast studio because I don't have a wife or anybody to piss off about it, quite frankly. And to be honest with you, it doesn't really affect my day to day right now. I mean, it's an absolute mess as far as I moved everything around right now, but there is no garbage. I mean, it was garbage. It was just empty cans. But anyways, let's get off of the worst intro possible. Welcome to the Scho-Zone as your host, Ryan Schofield. And the title speaks for itself. There's really not much to talk about in the world of sports right now, or the thing that everybody's been talking about. The thing that I've been consuming all day is my reactions to the two games that took place last night or yesterday. The title I was kind of, felt was my take on the games. Last night, I'll just start this off. I did not have the greatest day picking the games yesterday. I had the last episode out there. Thank you for any of those that had listened to you, by the way. Appreciate any feedback I got. I was kind of on the thing of that. I thought the Ravens were a better team. I was wrong. Same thing again with the Bills is that I guess I made this point last week, as I said, I don't think this is the best Chiefs team, which again, is the common theme today, but there is that I don't think this is a great NFL season, but it is possible that Mahomes is just in the heads of everybody of that it's like Tiger Woods making a charge on Sunday. Everybody's more paying attention to what he is doing versus what they are doing. Reason I say that with the Ravens is that one of the reasons I really liked the Ravens in that game is I thought that they were going to be able to run the football. The Bills were able to run the football. They have a different running quarterback that got a lot of those yards, but they were actually able to just conventionally hand off the ball to James Cook. Looking at what the Ravens are doing on their side of things, I thought that this would just be business as usual for them. Well, they only handed the ball off 6 times to the running backs all day. Got 23 or 24 yards, which shows that there was some success there. I mean, very first drive of the game, the Ravens ran, which I always feel like that running on the first play of the game is just a really bad idea because the defenses are all peaked up on adrenaline. It just seems like that the first play run never goes well, but they get, stuff for a gain there. So then they immediately set Lamar up for, they drop back the pass on second down, nothing there. He ends up just scrambling for a couple of yards. And then next thing you know, it's third and long, not the best situation. That play, actually, Lamar didn't make a bad pass, but he threw it to Nelson Aguilar dropping it. Not exactly something that we're going to get upset about. That's what he does. Pretty long history of it. Just ask anybody in Philly. I mean, when you are I just think of the clip of the guy that was rescuing people from a burning building or whatever like that, when he's like saying he was catching people and stuff. He's like, yeah, we ain't Aguilar. We ain't dropping anything. So when you have that attached to you, but basically, it just seemed like that, that's not a formula for success for the Ravens. If you get them into third and shorts, I think that now you can utilize Lamar a little better. But when you're starting off, you only ran the ball 6 times with the running back. You ran it 2 times with Zay Flowers. Didn't set yourself up for success there. It is as if the Ravens wanted to prove a point with Lamar Jackson almost, where they wanted him to win passing, and he just never looked comfortable doing it. Just everything looked rushed and hurried. The Chiefs just blitzed him. The numbers said that he wasn't good against the blitz. The numbers continued he wasn't good against the blitz. That's kind of what my take on the Ravens side of things was. The Chiefs, and this is where I say the Chiefs did win the game. It wasn't just a Mahomes thing, because if you really look at this, I rewatched the game last night. I do recommend sometimes watching things a second time. It's kind of like when you have a favorite TV show, like say, like right now, True Detective. You watch the episode the first time, you're pretty interested. You watch it a second time, and now you can pay attention to some things maybe you weren't paying attention to before, and now you understand it a little better. Now knowing what had happened in the game, I wasn't looking for what was happening. I was looking for what happened when I watched the game, if that makes sense. And basically, the Chiefs ran 2 drives that won the game. That's all they needed to do. They first drive, probably running some type of a game script. They went down the field, scored. And again, it wasn't really, there was a couple of good plays by Mahomes on there, but again, it was a lot of the designed screen passes, quick gains. And it was kind of more or less to just keeping them off balance, as far as there wasn't, misdirect going one way, going the other, just kind of quick hitters. And then Mahomes made a really good play to Kelsey on that drive. And that's one thing I want to go on with, is that while Mahomes did make some amazing plays in the first half, and they're not the conventional. They weren't sexy big plays, but they did extend drives. They were third down plays. What he does better than anybody, as I've kind of gone on of the skill set of Patrick Mahomes, is that he does seem to be his awareness and control of what he is doing in the pockets. The analogy that I came up with this is that there's quarterbacks that don't fear getting hits. Like Josh Allen does not fear getting hit, but that's a little different where he embraces contact and seeks it out. Mahomes runs around in a way that almost seems like he doesn't think the possibility of being hit is even possible. That was something that was brought up in the broadcast that the Ravens were upset by that and they wanted him to feel their presence there. But legitimately, I just don't know if he's just got like advanced sensors on him where he can always sense where anybody's coming, but he runs completely upright and just doesn't really seem like he's really surveying what's around him, but yet he's moving around and avoiding the hits on there. But two plays that stood out to me that he made. One was on the first drive of the game. He hit Kelsey over the middle. And then another one in the second quarter, I believe he had another one where he hit Kelsey over the middle. The one where he did a little scramble and flipped it up, and then Kelsey made the dive and grab. Those are two amazing plays that were made by Kelsey or made by Mahomes. But what I would say is that they were worthless if they weren't met with an equal or if not more amazing play by Kelsey. I think that with the quarterbacks and like looking through a lot of great quarterbacks right now, I think that you can say that a good quarterback is as good as their most reliable targets. Now, his most reliable target through his career has been Travis Kelce. One thing that Brady did is he had multiple reliable targets in his career. I mean, there was the Gronk era, there was the James White era, it seemed like, or the Kevin Falk was always the big go-to. But having the guy that you can go to on third down, because let's face it, Kelsey was covered on a lot of those plays. It's the synergy between the two of them, but the two of them do it together. I just think that's, I don't know. It's an impressive 200 yards in that. This is why I'm doing these things live, because again, right now I would have probably stopped recording some kind of ranting and raving on there. Let's see. We don't have anybody chatting with me here, so that's good. But there was a few people that were waiting in here. There's one or two. All right. Well, whatever. This just reminds me of being my stand-up comedy days. You just got to do it. You're hoping that someone's there. Just look to get better a little bit. So I'm taking a little pride in that. This looks a little better to me. Probably sounds a little better. Thanks to pseudo producer of the show, J.R. Welber, for giving me a little assistance with the video. We've got to fix the lighting going on the background. I don't have the setup for that just yet, but I like having the Cardinals stuff in the background. It looks a little more conducive than having, again, seeing my one bedroom apartment for the most part. But so now we're in the place of that. I have so many thoughts here. I wrote down all these fucking notes on these things here. It's tough to just really get rolling with them. But Mahomes, this is where I was going. So then the first half, he gets those two drives going out there. Then the last drive at the end of the first half, I honestly don't think was going to go anywhere, except the Ravens made it inviting to get it to go somewhere. The very first play of that drive, at the end of the first half, the Chiefs are deep, less than 2 minutes. First play of the drive was the Pacheco, tackled. And, to be honest, that tackle probably should have warranted the 15-yarder, or, it looked like he tackled him by his neck, more or less. I don't know what the rules are anymore, but it didn't look normal in 2024, I guess I should say. But then the 15-yarder comes afterwards by Kyle Van Noy, which, the Ravens, the discipline factor with them was just so off. I mean, that was like 20 seconds after the play, it seemed like, where they were going. And, kudos to Kelsey again, too. He's really, I think that he is playing the role of the agitator so well. It's really great. Like, once he gets the smile going, that he probably has to hear everything under the sun about him and his girlfriend on the field, which he seems to play within himself pretty well. But, the way he smiled when he gets that shove, it's just kind of such a, God, you just wish you could. I don't want to punch him in the face, but I'm just saying I can only imagine how frustrating it is being on the Ravens when you have to, when he gets under your skin and then you end up getting the 15-yarder. Then there was another 15-yarder on that one. Then suddenly they're out almost at midfield. Probably got lucky that they didn't get a touchdown off of that. They probably were only playing for a field goal. So then the Ravens actually had to step up to get the touchdown there. But the second half, like Mahomes did absolutely nothing until that final play to Valdez-Scantling. It's amazing how if you love Mahomes, you love Mahomes. If you I don't want to say if you hate Mahomes, but if you're not the totally into the truther yet, which maybe I am or am not, it's just curious to me that people say, well, he was just a game manager in the second half. He just did a good job being a game manager. And I'm kind of like, I've always thought that saying someone was a game manager was a negative thing. You usually that's like, well, Brock Purdy gets saddled with the game manager thing, or hey, just don't lose it for us. There is something to that I think, though, in the second half, because the reason he might want to have been a game manager to protect the lead is that there is evidence it did happen one time that Mahomes did lose a team in AFC Championship game. He did blow a 21-3 lead to the Bengals. There were some interceptions that were a part of that, correct? That was a thing. So I mean, that was probably, the Ravens just never made them pay for it. I mean, I'm sure that if push came to shove, just based on seeing the completion at the end there, which, by the way, Valdez-Scantling, that was not a ball I think was expected to be caught. I mean, if he didn't catch that one, I wouldn't have killed him for it, because he is Marcus Valdez-Scantling. But that was really the only time that he had to make a play, and he did. And that's just the control and the poise of Mahomes. I mean, it was a zero blitz. You kind of saw it coming, and he just drops one over the top, and then Valdez-Scantling makes the play. But it wasn't like the Ravens weren't working their way back in the game. They just could not stay out of their own way. The Zay Flowers, that's, just the lack of discipline. Like I said there, like one of the worst things, actually, this was a note that I had written down there. When I was watching the replay late last night, I noticed that Ray Lewis took the field for the Ravens and kind of did his little shtick there. It seemed like the Ravens that may have been a bad thing for them, because I think the Ravens kind of started to channel a little bit of Ray Lewis in them. But they're not Ray Lewis. Really, like, if I had seen it live at the time, because I was a little busy during some things in the live broadcast, when the Ravens, the way they celebrated their first touchdown, it looked like they had practiced that more than they had anything else they were doing on offense. They had the whole full summer there, and just again, they kind of had this brashness to them where, like, again, even like Zay Flowers, like, I mean, to celebrate the big play down 10, that's just not really, like, when you're in that point of the game, that's not the celebration. It seemed like that the Ravens, despite being down when they made a big play, now maybe that's just the personality of the team. They're trying to rile each other up, but I just don't think that that's really, it bear it out there. I mean, there was just undisciplined penalties. I mean, like, it's not even, which is another thing just lots of thoughts, I guess. Can't stand is how reactionary we are to the conspiracy theories. Every penalty that, is, what is it? Is it a rigged? Is it, pro Chiefs? What do we have going on? This is an observation I've had. I'm mostly a baseball fan, as you can see, a lot of Cardinal stuff going on here. One thing I've found unique to baseball, unlike other sports, is the umpires in baseball, when they do a bad job, we just say that they're incompetent. When it happens in a different sport, basketball or football, it's that there's a conspiracy. I'm just curious why that is that in one sport it's incompetence, in another it's a conspiracy. I tend to think it's more of the former, not the latter. Anyways, okay, I'm going to have to obviously mention the Swift thing on this. These are my only thoughts concerning the Taylor Swift thing. I don't care. It really doesn't bother me. Like, this is at least a little bit more understandable. I've brought this back because I'm really trying to think of, how things look now in 2024 versus how they did in the earlier part of my life. The first time I can really ever remember a player's wife becoming a deal was Brenda Warner, actually, which it makes more sense to show Taylor Swift as much as they used to show Brenda Warner. I go back in time. It was a thing, at least Taylor Swift has done something, I guess. I did find it to be a little bit weird that Kelsey, the first touchdown catch that he had, which was an amazing play, you see Mahomes running over to go pull him up and go celebrate. You see him go over to go do that. You don't see what happens afterwards because they cut to Swift doing the celebration. This is where I just have to butt in and say, can I see Travis Kelce celebrate his touchdown, then cut to Taylor Swift? That's just, that's all I have with that one. The other one I would say was that the only other time I was really ever bothered by the Swift thing is when CBS posted the graphic during one of their games about the offensive splits, whether Taylor Swift was at the game or not. Again, I understood that it was just a lighthearted attempt at humor. I can't take faith. I'm on the internet way too much. I read way too many comments that unfortunately, I think that there are some people that actually bought some stock into that. And it just makes having conversations a little difficult sometimes for me. But that's all I really have there. But hats off to the Chiefs. You've made a fool out of me twice. And to be honest with you, I don't know if they're going to make a fool out of me the third time. Actually, they will say they're going to make a fool out of me the third time. I am either going to bet the Niners pregame or I'm not going to bet anything pregame, which is actually kind of a thought I'm having here is that there is no glory into making a pregame prediction, at least as far as on the gambling side of things. Making a pregame pick is wonderful because it's out there for everyone to see. But during the game is when you can really do those. Honestly, like I said, if I've been watching or if I really cared a little bit more, I probably would have, after seeing the Ravens get to 7-7 and then watching the Chiefs start moving right down the field, I probably would have done some type of an in-game bet on the Chiefs. It just seemed like, again, the Ravens never felt like that that's a very misleading 17-10 score. But in the same token, it almost isn't, though, because if not for a fumble and if not for the worst interception I saw all playoffs by Lamar Jackson, I mean, I got to assume Justin Tucker makes a kick there to make it 20, to get a field goal. Say Flowers gets there. We're leaving out what Mahomes is in there. And the point is that the Ravens did have the ability to score those points. And they didn't. And it sucks now because, I don't want to say that I was as much of a Lamar believer, but I guess where I kind of lost my way in this one is I hated the whole narrative going up to this is that he was never going to win the big one, or he's incapable of doing it. Like I said in the last episode, that was something that followed Peyton Manning around for a while until it didn't. And then also too, he really only won two. I'm just kind of thinking if we were to re-legislate quarterbacks, because again, this is a new part of my life. I don't recall growing up in the 90s, there always being a conversation of, was this quarterback the best ever? Really, I feel like the conversation kind of started with Peyton Manning as far as because he was hyped up as a prospect the way that he was, and then came out firing the way that he was. And it was always, okay, he is trending towards being this. And then Tom Brady stepped in and had that success. But even Brady wasn't mentioned as being a great winning. I think he won 3 Super Bowls pretty early on. And it was kind of, it was the way that I looked at Mahomes right now is that he's playing on a great team and he's not making mistakes. That is something that is an admirable thing. Not making mistakes is something to be praised. And that's what Mahomes doing very well, is the complete control and understanding of things. Again, looking at when I watched it live and kind of keeping mind of the stats, it didn't seem that impressive. Watching it the second time, the first half was every bit that impressive. But, and this is where I'm kind of going with, it just seems like that maybe what I'm suffering from, it might be something that a lot of other people are suffering from, because the Chiefs kind of have just become force-fed down our throat as being part of our lives. We all really, really like football, and we can't go anywhere without the Chiefs about this. And it's not even just the Chiefs, like the team. It's like, I'm just kind of thinking of that. I don't know of another time where we've been again, different times as far as our access and the way that things are covered, but like we are like very in depth with the entire, the key players on the Chiefs, their entire family. We know who the quarterback, Mahomes, we know who his wife is. We know who his brother are, even though they do nothing but be related to him. I don't recall that being a thing as much with other players in the past. We also have that, with Travis Kelce. Now granted, his brother is in the NFL and they played in a Super Bowl together, but the fact that his brother is part of this, his girlfriend is part of this. Even the fact that his mother is somebody that we know about this one. Pat Mahomes, we know who his father is because he was a professional athlete. I'm just trying to think of another team where we've known as much about them off the field as we do on the field. It's almost like I compare it to being a Yankee or living in upstate New York or living in New York in general, the Yankees during the summer. At least during the early 2000s, where it seemed like the best part about the Yankees was that they were, during the daytime, they were this running soap opera on talk radio. And then we got to see the soap opera in action when they played the games that night. It seems like that we kind of have that going on with the Chiefs a little bit. But, well, geez, we're 20 minutes in. I had not even really gotten to many things I have written down on here. The one that actually got me sidetracked before was I was just scrolling through and I saw that right now, Canada, they changed the rules a little bit. Here's one for you. If you're a gambler, you know those fun novelty props in the Super Bowl, like the national anthem or the Gatorade color? Can't legally bet on those in the United States. If you have an offshore bookie, you can get those in, but gaming commissions don't approve them. Most gaming commissions, you have to, the criteria is that it has to be something that is decided in a box score, or something that you can tell the results by looking at a box score. That's the Vegas parameter. I know that different states go, have all the different rules. For example, when I am in Massachusetts, I know that I can bet certain things I cannot bet in New York. One of them, if you are looking to get a bet down in New York, say you want to bet Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowl MVP, you cannot do that. I always find it strange that you cannot do that. The way that the language is stated is that you can't bet on something that is determined by a vote. That just kind of sends me a weird message that, well, I'll just leave it at that. Don't want to go too far into it, but let's just say that it's funny when they say, no, we don't trust the way that things are voted on. But that's, yeah, I'll just shut up now. Anyways, in Canada, though, I just saw this is actually a bet you can make on FanDuel. You can actually bet on whether or not Travis Kelce will propose to Taylor Swift during or after the game or something. In case you're wondering, yes is plus 190, no is minus 250. Honestly, it might be worth a trip over the border because, well, here's the thing. Should they or not? I would say, hey, I'm just going to stay out of other people's relationships. I'm just going to speak my own affair. They've been dating since September. He's been playing football. She's been doing her thing. They're in the honeymoon phase of every relationship. There's nothing better than the beginning of it. But, usually people have a tendency to be all up in their shits when they first start dating. They're still living their own lives. Give it some time. That's just what I would hope there. But I want to say that no would be the way to bet that one, but I'm not going to. Okay, we got a couple more people in here. All right, how about that? Thank you for tuning in. So, where do I want to go now? But yeah, so that's basically the Chiefs are now the NFL's best product. It's just they're able to cover it. It is appealing to everybody. Now, I don't think that this is some grand design by the NFL. I think that the NFL, what they're good at doing is not creating storylines, but capitalizing on the storylines in place. Realistically, all of these stories write themselves. Like so many times, people, I remember last year people were capping the Super Bowl for the narrative of that it was going to be the brothers, that this is what they wanted. Again, we give a lot of credit to this. The one league NBA people always say is rigged, and I always just say cool, because obviously it is, because we got that LeBron Kobe finals that we always wanted. Shit happens, people just kind of play off of it. This I do laugh. I do think there are people that believe that this is a whole, like this is actually a U.S. government scam now, where Kelce is Mr. Pfizer now, and that him and Swift are going to endorse Biden. That's just fucking, you're just, pretty fucking insane, I must say. Anyways, the next part of this episode I had was the Lions crapping out in the second half. I was somebody who, after I saw two plays of the first half, and I was in the first quarter, and the Lions, they had two good gains in the first play. I'm like, they look like they came to play today. And I jumped in and bet them on the in-game, which I took the money line, not plus the 7 points I could have, which, no risk, no reward, right? But as I said, that was a tough game to cap, is that you are betting on a gambler in the way that Dan Campbell conducts his business. The biggest thing I said that goes on with the Lions is that they are predicated on their success on fourth down. The games that they do well in it, they get it on fourth down. The games that they lose, they did not do well on fourth down. Comes as no surprise. They went 1 for 3 on fourth down. And you could argue if they got 2 out of 3, not 1 out of 3, they probably win that game. Not going to kill, the take the points thing, all that. The Lions did with what they got in there. They are they behave like a riverboat gambler where there's really no rhyme or reason to it. Again, like I'm going to steal the analogy, but it's not an original one, is that Dan Campbell is just like the guy at the blackjack table that's just going on feel. Because I was shocked in the first half when he punted on 4th and 6 at around the spot of the field that he did, which actually worked out because then they got the Purdy pick. But the other ones that he they went for, kicking the field goal at the end of the half, that one made sense to me, the 3 score. Not going for it in the kicking in it's weird to me to say this. He probably should have kicked the field goal the first time he went for it on 4th down. And that one, he actually had the great play call. Josh Reynolds just doesn't make the play, which again, too, something tells me that a guy like Dan Campbell would really rather his players decide things than a kicker. That's just the way that he rubs me, the way that he comes across to me. But that one, you're up 3 possessions and the time is now on your side. You're kind of playing the clock more than you're playing the Niners. That one's a mistake. The later one, I can live with a little bit because again, I love the idea that we're just assuming that the 48-yard field goal is made. Every kicker has got the leg to make a 48-yarder. That's not the issue anymore. It's the accuracy. And again, I'm not going to what I thought would have been great would have been after the final gaffe, which was the worst one, all things equal, as bad as it was, going for it with the run play on 3rd down. I swear the logic that sometimes a coach uses is that there is no way we should ever do this. They won't expect it. Let's do it. That's the way I looked at the run play on there. I thought it would have been hilarious if Badgley had actually missed the extra point afterwards, because that would have had everyone's head spinning as far as what the conversation is today. But that's what the Lions, that's who they are. That's what they did. The analogy that I gave was when watching Dan Campbell, because there was a brief moment before they threw the flag there that it looked like on the onside kick that the Lions had a chance there. They showed the reaction of Dan Campbell. He reminded me of being all in and short stacked at a poker tournament when you're standing there hoping for your one card, and when it doesn't hit, you're not thinking about the bad decisions that led you to that point. You're just hoping that that one last chance can get you out of it. And then when you see he did the fist, you could see the reality of the whole thing kicked in. But I mean, I appreciate his press conference. He didn't. He's true to who he is, and I want to say that his players can't be unhappy with it. They know what they signed up for. They know who they play for, and he gave them the confidence of that one. But the Lions did, yeah. I mean, they needed like 10 things to go wrong, or if one of 10 things didn't go wrong in that second half or primarily the 3rd quarter, they probably win the game. Unfortunately for them, every single one of them went wrong. I guess one of the things I kind of noticed this, speaking to the kind of the point of Mahomes, is that, it's actually just funny, is that Mahomes really is just as good of a runner as Allen and Jackson. It's just that all 3 guys do it in different ways. Lamar does it on just sheer athleticism and quick twitchiness, and just, it seems he can change directions without ever losing speed. Allen is the good luck tackling a tight end in the open field, basically. Again, Mahomes, it just seems like that he's got this cloud around him that he's just does not have a fear in the world. And, hats off to him. Where I was going with this is that I'm looking here, and it does seem that Jared Goff, that was kind of the issue that came up there, is you did see if you're going to not be a mobile quarterback, you have to be Tom Brady in the pocket, basically. You have to, or the comparison, or where I think that Mahomes should look towards going forward is he's going to have to start at some point. He's going to catch it. He's not going to be this athletic his entire career, I don't think. But it's probably going to have to start looking a little bit more like Aaron Rodgers, where Rodgers was the scrambler, could run for a first down type thing. Eventually, and what he did a lot of yesterday on his big pass plays is that just buy yourself that little bit of time, manipulate the pocket, and get the throw on there. Jared Goff, you saw what happens when he can't do it. It can remind me of Matt Ryan. They call them 20-20 quarterbacks. They can get you from 120 to the other. When you get down in the red zone, unless the primary read is there, they don't have the ability to extend the play, and they don't have the arm strength to throw off platform to hit it into a tight window. Which, yeah, that's Jared Goff that you kind of saw there. But at the end of the day, if he gets a play from Josh Reynolds, he probably still wins that game. And, that's kind of where I want to go again, too, where Mahomes is in his status. I do want to say the Lamar thing. We do have to take a serious look at that, because the fact that every one of his losses, he's had less than 13 points is you haven't lost with your best yet, is kind of the thing going on, where, it's one thing when Josh Allen loses the 13-second game because he could not have played any better and he still lost. With the Ravens, it says that you just never even gave it a chance almost, or you just never even looked that way. I lost a viewer. God damn it. But it's amazing how much easier this always seems to be before you go to do it, but then you put yourself out there and do it. got about a half an hour in here. What else did I have? Let's see. We're going to go to the notes. This is when the shitty content starts. Yeah, no, that's pretty much all I got for you. I am probably, yeah, I'm ending on a bad note right now. Showmanship should be ending on a high note. Everybody, thank you for tuning into the Scho-Zone. This was episode 2. I'm hoping that it was like 10% better than last one, and then the next one will be 10% better. But yeah, just like, subscribe. I've got an email for this one, the Scho-Zone podcast at gmail.com. So thank you for anybody that offered any encouragement, and let me know what you think. Have a good day.